What's going on, CALIVEGANs, and welcome into another episode of the CALIVEGAN podcast, the number one and only calisthenics podcast for vegans. And in this episode, since we have earned I think 3,000 followers in the last 2 months, I wanted to do a recap of what my page is about, my stories, what's my coaching about, and overall what kind of value you can get from me and my page. See, the first thing that we're going to talk about is that I have ADHD, so if these looks and sounds scattered and confusing and the pieces are all over the place, it's just because this is how my brain works and I didn't prepare a kind of a structure for today. But if you're watching this on YouTube, let's start with the important part. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you want to know about me, and do the same when you are at the end of this podcast. Leave a comment, let me know if you have any extra questions, and let me know what is the part that most interested you, the most value you got out of this story. And for the ones that are live, of course, you can still ask me questions, and I can tell my story through the questions that you're going to be making me. So I would start from kind of a quick recap. What my page is about. So through my page, I help vegan men building muscle using calisthenics, and the main reason why I want to help them is because I know we as vegan are kind of bullied all the time. Whether you are someone that wants to inspire others towards veganism because you want a better world with less animal suffering, or maybe you're not someone that likes to speak about veganism all the time, you're still going to get bullied from people. You're still going to get people trying to invalidate veganism, and often, it will come those moments where people get attached to the nutrition fact and they say you cannot be healthy as a vegan, you cannot get enough protein, you cannot be strong as a vegan, you're unhealthy, you're malnourished, all of these things. And it is frustrating, and it's going to affect your confidence, and as a consequence, overall happiness in life, if you are validating those things. If you cannot say and show with your own results that all these things that people are telling about veganism are just fairy tale and myths, it's going to affect you, right? First of all, you're not going to feel like you can prove it, right? Because yourself, you are not in shape, if you're not in shape, right? And on the other side, it's just going to validate something that you already know, that you would want to be fitter, you would want to look better, you would want to be a more confident man, but you're not. And so this is one of the reasons why I want to help vegan men specifically, because that's an important journey for me as well. I'm an animal rights activist, and I do want a vegan world. And I know that even though the ethics of it, understanding that is wrong to abuse animals, purchasing and paying for animal products, all right, I know that's the main reason. But on the other side, since we live in a non-vegan world and people are so skeptical about it, it is important and part of this process of people we have in front of us and the world overall that we have people that shows that vegans are healthy, strong, and there is nothing wrong in eating a plant-based diet. So in my page, you will find nutrition tips, calisthenics tips, and training tips. I put out there a lot of content daily. You know, it depends what you mean with a lot. It's between 3 to 5 posts per day. I'll do 2 lives per week. It will usually be on Monday and Tuesday during my workout, so you can actually see how I work out, and you can learn from it and really have a visual reference to an effective workout. And then I will post animal rights posts from my conversations that I have in the streets with other people about veganism when I do events with Anonymous for the voiceless. So let's talk about confidence and why, because this is what got me to focus on helping people improve their physique and building muscle. Because myself, when I was a kid, I was bullied. Elementary schools, I was bullied. It was a bit of violence, not too much. And secondary school as well, I was picked up. I didn't manage to fit in, and that's because I was the stranger. I was the stranger because I moved from south of Italy, from north of Italy when I was 12, because my mom and my dad, they split up, and my mom started study to be a nurse, and so we moved to north of Italy, a new world, and you don't have those connection that you made when you are a child. And apart from this, I was kind of different. I believe I was different. I wasn't arrogant. I wasn't trying to be cool or whatever. I was just trying to be a nice guy, and I believe that didn't work. There was something that didn't work in that kind of character and way of being, and that's why I'm being picked up in secondary school as well. Apart from that, and I'm telling you so you understand that fundamentally I'm an insecure person. I start from being very insecure, because also from my father's side, my father is definitely a narcissist, and if you're wondering why does this person talks bad about his father, I'm just stating facts. I have told him at this point, and I think he should know that the way he should know that the way he behaved is not good and has been abusive. So let's say he made just a few rash jokes when I was a kid, and it was just not emotionally present, and it was emotionally abusive, violent, not that much, maybe a little bit. It did not beat me up. Let's say he would hit me a little bit, maybe things like this, just to put me in place, but that wasn't right neither. And so all these things that develop insecurity insecurities in me, and also living with a single mother is not the best way to grow a child. It's better to have two loving parents rather than one. And also my mom was not present all the time, because as I said, she was trying to create a life for me and her. She started study to become a nurse when she was 42 years old. No, she started, I think, at 40, and then she got she passed as a nurse when she was like 42 or 43. So amazing thing, right? To really start studying at that age and then pass with great how do you call them, scores, votes, and then move to the north of Italy to make sure that I would get a stable life, because she did all these for me mainly, and take care of me. However, I grew up with insecurities. I believe that those insecurities that my dad gave me, it's what then reflected in school, and that's why bullies would always pick up on me. But I guess when you're bullied, you do feel powerless. You don't feel accepted. You don't feel accepted, and all these things all together, I think that this is why and actually I'm 100% sure, because I'm also reading right now a book from Gabor Mate that talks about these things and addiction, and this is definitely the reason why I then got into drug use, and why I didn't even realize until later age then drug use is not good. I was mindlessly and happily using drugs because it would create a better mental state than the one I was in when I was in reality, insecure, not feeling accepted, even scared of stepping forward and having those social interactions, right? And with drugs, you feel more inhibition, right? And you feel more confident in yourself. At least this is what happened. But something happened when I was about 16 years old. So likely one of the things that my father gave me is sport, right? So I started sport when I was very young, karate. I started with karate. All right, let's stop the story first. I do not like people saying things like this one. This trauma is also logged into the colon and can be healed with the colon cleanse and eating. Be very throw those things in the rubbish guy when people really try to tell you that you can cure mental health with food. Probably it's part of it. Healthy eating, it's part of it. But yeah, let's discard that. How do you cure trauma with fruits? Like, are you mad? Anyway, so something that my father gave me was sport, and always been doing sport. I was doing karate. I think I did 3 years of karate, 1 year of taekwondo when I was a kid. During elementary school, and then we moved, so I needed to change sport, and I did tennis. Didn't really like it. Wasn't even good in it. I think also tennis is a very weird sport when you are a kid. Everything is so big. The court is big. The racket is big. it just doesn't make sense for kids, in my opinion. I've been doing tennis. Then I was also an asthmatic kid. So, and I used to have asthma attack as well when I was a kid. I had multiple, I was on medications. Often. I had asthma attacks, and sport itself would trigger my asthma, but at the same time, it would make it better as well. In fact, over time, my asthma got better. Then, when it comes to sport, with my father, when we moved to the north of Italy, my father was already living there, so I had the opportunity, and I say opportunity because as I grew up, as I realized he's a narcissist, as I realized what narcissism is, I realized that it was not really a good person to. It's not like it's a bad person, but if you look at narcissists, even if they do something for you, it's because they have something to take from it. And I believe what happens with my father is he liked to play badminton, and he had this view of wanting me to become a badminton champion. So, and it was partly good to commit and be disciplined towards a sport, compete. He even paid me some one-to-one session, and I was competing. I was kind of good in badminton, but I remember genetically it was really not a sport for me. I remember there was other kids that were training less than me and had less resources that could kind of match my progress in badminton. And in the beginning, and there wasn't a problem. In the beginning, I did like badminton, but once I became 14, 15 years old, I kind of started to wanted to develop more my personality more, and badminton just didn't match that. And it happened that I wanted to try something different, so I just started to go to the gym, and I started to do MMA. I was about 14 or 15 years old, and here is where I really connect with people that feel insecure and they lack confidence, because many people, they say you can be confident in yourself. You don't need to look great and have a good physique. But for some people like me, that for one reason or another they struggle to be confident in life and that they feel insecure, developing a good physique and feeling strong, it has a direct positive effect in the way you navigate life as a more confident man. And so this is what happened to me. I started to build muscle, started to get stronger, and I was proud of myself. I liked the way my body was changing, and it was easier to get girls, because girls were, in the beginning I would feel shame and insecure to do the first step, but then as I kind of started to look better, be more muscular, I would have that first signal from girls, so that would give me more confidence, and my life started to become better. I started to feel less insecure. The guys in school, they kind of, I changed school as well. I went to high school, but it didn't happen that people and other schoolmates started to pick up on me, right? Because I had another figure, I looked stronger. more intimidated, I believe. Even if indirectly, I'm sure that there was the one factor. The other factor is that I noticed that people, started to ask what I was doing. They wanted to be like me. So people started to directly respect me, and I guess that's the validation that perhaps I wasn't getting, neither from my father and from the other kids at school when I was in elementary, right? So I started to get this validation from training. And the other insecurity that I had was also physical contact, because when you're bullied, you feel helpless, right? And when I was bullied, I was the smaller one. Really, I never really felt like I could do anything against my bully. It was physically bigger than me, and I believe that creates that insecureness, and feeling like you are physically inferior, and overall made me fear physical contact with other men and confronting other men because of this. And starting MMA really helped me crush that fear and move forward in life in that sense. And because you get punched in the face and you're kind of like, okay, nothing happens, just pain. You can get hit and hit back. And I guess this is one of my biggest messages out there, that you don't want to allow your insecurities to take over your life. You don't want to victimize yourself over these things. What you want to do is take action over those, because especially if those are things that you can make better, you can get stronger and look better, increase your confidence. You can throw yourself in a safer environment when there is violence. That could be something like combat sports, and build up confidence and break the fear of physical contact with other men through that. Okay, you can become a tougher person. You can become a tougher person if you put yourself through these harder times that will make you a stronger person and will allow you to live an easier life. Now, I just wanted to point at something that shows the narcissism of my father, which is when I did decided to change sport. Remember, he wanted me to be the champion in badminton. When I decided to move into another direction, he disappeared. He didn't come to my first tournament that I did in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He didn't want to see the training. Nothing. It just disappeared. So as you can see, I didn't really have a present father figure. And with my mom, we realized that it was better that he actually wasn't present at all. And so now, as I said, I was training in the gym, and guys, like, weight training gave me a lot, gave me confidence, gave me strength. But at the same time, I got to a point with the gym training where it wasn't satisfying me much. And I know many people Many people feel the same when it comes to lifting weight at the gym. It becomes boring, it's not motivating, especially for people like me that they come from practicing other sport and they were a lot into sport, whether it's skateboarding, parkour, badminton, snowboarding. So you're used to stay fit and you stay fit and get and make your life better through something that is kind of funnier, and then gym seems to be this repetitive and boring way of training. And the same happened to me. Now I want to make a point that I think when you want to get some benefit in life, you need to balance out what is effort and enjoyment. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to get results, you need to understand that sometimes you need to do things just because you have to do them because you want to get specific results. Okay, just when you go to work, you probably don't go to work and you don't work because you like working. You do it because there is going to be a payroll that's going to allow you to pay your bills, right? So the same is for training. Okay, so it started to become boring to just train at the gym. Because I like my physique, right? At this point, I was shredded. I built like 10 kilograms of muscle, and I really liked my body. But the way I was training, I didn't like it anymore. And so I started to mix it up with some calisthenics, and it was much more enjoyable training outdoor. Instead of doing the same exercises over and over, you could try different bodyweight exercises and learning how to move your body in different ways. And I really started to enjoy that more. But there was a problem. The problem is I did not have any idea how to train properly with calisthenics. And so, again, because I wasn't really motivated to get bigger than I was, that was not my goal necessarily. I liked my physique. I did wanted to maintain my physique and keep looking good, but I wanted to train in a way that I enjoyed more. So from, I would say, 20 years old, I left Italy and I started to travel. I lived in Edinburgh. I lived in London. I lived in Liverpool. I went to Barcelona. And then now I ended up here in Malaga, south of Spain. Now, when I was in London, I was a bartender. Again, in this period, I kind of maintained my physique and my training style. It wasn't really going in any direction specifically because I didn't have a vision, Again, I didn't really like weight training. I was satisfied with my physique, and I didn't know how to train effectively with calisthenics. So it was a bit of a mess. And because it was a bit of a mess, my training was inconsistent. And this is something that I say all the time as well. If you lack discipline, if you're not motivated towards your workout, if you're inconsistent, chances are that you don't really know what you're doing. You don't know what you have to do in order to make progress week after week, and therefore you're inconsistent and you're not disciplined simply because you don't have a plan to be disciplined towards. And the same thing happened to me. I was inconsistent and also in London is where I got more into drugs and techno party. As I said before, like I had my trauma, emotional trauma, insecurities, and drugs became my happy place for the most part. It all started when I was 14. I naturally, as I said, I wasn't even thinking there was something bad. I just started to get drunk and high, and realized that was my happy place. I realized that there was something that filled a hole that I didn't know how else to feel. Luckily, training was important to me. I already had clear in my mind that training did somehow fill that empty hole that I had, right? So thanks to training and fitness, I didn't become a hardcore addict, right? And the reason why, because at the end, even though my training was inconsistent, I wasn't as consistent and disciplined and committed to work out as I am right now. I would still go to the gym, even though I was a bartender. I was working a lot of hours. I would still make the effort, to wake up and first thing in the morning, try and go to the gym and do at least three workouts per week. But again, as I said, when I was to London, I started to get more into techno parties and use more drugs, more MDMA, cocaine. I was smoking cigarettes as well, and then ecstasy, and you would put a bunch of stuff in it, but mainly was MDMA and cocaine. So it got to a point where I realized I was doing cocaine maybe 3, sometimes 4 times per week, and most of these times I would get into the mood and go to techno party. So things would escalate. I would come back home maybe 7 a.m., go to sleep, wake up, go to work, hangover. Sometime I would not go to sleep, just buy more cocaine, go to work high, and go to sleep maybe 1 a.m. The next day. So I was really hammering my body. But during this period, I realized that something was wrong. Because all these time invested in party and drug use was not allowing me. It was impossible to work out. There was no time because I had to work as well. And I realized that I was just hammering my body. I was not training, and I wasn't doing good to myself. And thanks to this, I got motivated and do my first dry month. My first dry month was not really a dry month. So I was drinking alcohol, but I gave up drugs. And by the way, this was abstinence and not sobriety. I've just learned the difference between abstinence and sobriety, listening to the book from Gabor Mate, The Realm of Hungry Ghosts, Story of Addictions. And so I was abstinent. In fact, during this period, I was just waiting for the end of it so I could get high again. Anyway, from that moment forward, I just progressed. So I started to do more dry months, longer dry months. I started to understand that my life had to be more about developing myself in a healthy way rather than just work and party, because that's really what I was doing at the time. And yeah, like fast forward, I would say, in the middle, just quickly, I with the next girlfriend, we went for a travel to Southeast Asia. I've been traveling Philippines, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. All right, just a little thing to throw in there, which is important actually, because during that travel I started my journey towards veganism. Where were we? So yeah, I started to be better, to realize that life is not about party. and I had to develop healthier habits and focus on looking for, let's say, happiness and being proud of myself in life through achieving real thing and not fake reality created by substances. So through this mission of looking for something that I really enjoyed, I realized that one of the things that I enjoyed the most in life was training. It was sport, and I had a problem with lower back pain in my latest years of bartending, right? I actually have two degenerative disc disease, two degenerated discs at my, L4, L5 and L5 S1. I think that's, yeah, those are the names of the vertebrae where I have the degenerative discs. And so I couldn't even do the training that I wanted to do. I couldn't go to the gym and do weight training, because even like picking up a dumbbell from the rack was triggering my lower back pain. It was crazy. I couldn't do anything. And this is where I really had to kind of give up fitness. I could do things here and there, but even going on a bike for a long period of time would trigger my lower back pain. And when I say triggering lower back pain, I'm talking about, sometimes I would spend my days in bed because of the pain, and both because I was just frustrated that I had to live my life with back pain. At my most acute lower back pain moment, I was crying in the street after work because I couldn't walk back home, because the pain was so bad. And stupid me, I had my kind of traumatized brain, I guess. I didn't see that the most important thing was to take care of my back and not forcing myself to work as a bartender. That was actually bad for my back. However, I went through this year of lower back pain struggle, and when I couldn't train, my mood was low, my physique was gone, and I was just not happy. I went to see different doctors, chiropractors, physiotherapists. I've seen them all, and most of them didn't really help me. Most of them told me that they couldn't train. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot do impact. Careful with going with a bicycle, and you have all of this impact. You cannot run because there is a lot of impact. You cannot put too much stress in your lower back with weights. And they didn't really made me feel like there was a healing process. You know, they basically were making me understand that I should just give up on training. And now you most of you, I believe, that listen to me, they don't understand when you're someone that for whole your life you've done sports, and sport is so ingrained in your personality and the way you feel and the way you navigate life, it's not acceptable to hear something like that. You just don't want to hear it. I was definitely falling in some kind of depression in this period, and so. And you know, I remember, this is something fun. I remember like the first or second time I went to a doctor in the UK. He gave me ibuprofen for 3 weeks to take 3 times per day at high dosage, and then come back to me. 3 weeks passed. I do the therapy with ibuprofen, the painkiller, and when I go back, it's like, how do you feel? Better, thank you, because I'm fucking high on painkillers. Like, what did you expect? But still, I couldn't do training. It would still trigger the pain. So at one point, so I got to a point where I said, and after I broke up with this ex-girlfriend that I told you, I went Southeast Asia. I was like, okay, you know, that's it, because this is what happened usually to men as well, right? So some men, they get into a relationship, they kind of fall off from their fitness journey. They get a little bit extra fat, they lose muscle, they're just less fit. And that definitely happened to me as well. I was a bit less motivated to push hard, but there was also the lower back pain problem together. And anyway, breaking up with her really made me realize that, okay, now that I'm alone, I'm really not happy with myself. I'm not confident. I don't feel strong. I don't feel proud of my fitness level, but I have this lower back problem. What do I do? And so I decided to completely commit to calisthenics. You know, I didn't know how, as I said before, I didn't really know how to effectively train with calisthenics, but you know, I did mix up in the past some body weight exercises, and I said, okay, let's try to just do body weight workouts, and let's see if I can do those without having too much problem with my lower back. And so I did. And luckily in London there is a good community for calisthenics, and close to my house I had a good calisthenics park. It was Kilburn Park in London. There was West Hampstead. I think it was called West Hampstead, the neighborhood. And yeah, so it didn't give me problems. So I was able to work out again. I was feeling strong again. I felt my muscle memory kicked in, and my body started to get in shape again. I was still a bartender. But I was lucky. But what motivated me to start taking calisthenics seriously, apart from the lower back pain, was the fact that I saw the guys training properly with calisthenics that in those parks. And before I was never able to see proper calisthenics in action, and so I was able to get feedback from them, get tips from them, and this is how I started to also train the muscle up and the front lever, and the back lever. Also, as I become more and more passionate about calisthenics, which again, like as we said earlier, the reason why I started calisthenics and mixing it up with weight training was because I was getting bored with weight training, right? So And but at the same time, weight training was what got me strong, and I was attached to it. I was attached to the fact that allowed me to build muscle. But finally, I found a way of training that can be something more similar to a sport. You know, it's more, you use your body in different ways. It's not that boring, but it's still strength related, and it still allows you to build muscle. Because again, in London, I met this guy. There was a guy from Argentina. His name was Juan, and it was a heavyweight calisthenics guy, and he was doing crazy things. He was doing front lever, muscle up, like absolutely nothing. It was super easy for him. And so I got motivated, and not only motivated, I got passionate about calisthenics. And as I said earlier, you know, I was also in a period of my life when I realized that I wanted to look for a purpose, a direction in life, and you know, partying was definitely not it. You know, I realized that partying was just a way of coping with, well, I didn't know what I was coping with, but I knew it had to be limited, and it wasn't the way to go in life. You know, my happiness couldn't only come from taking cocaine and MDMA. And so calisthenics made me realize that perhaps this is what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to create a life around sport. And this is where I started studying to become a certified personal trainer. I was still working as a bartender, but again, like, you know, bartender jobs, even though I started bartending because I was somewhat passionate about it, making cocktails, working with people, having fun with people, I soon realized that finding a good job in hospitality is fucking impossible. It's slavery. You don't know where you go, especially if you work in the night, you don't know when you go back home, you don't know how stressful is going to be the shift, because they often there's not enough people working there. It's also like at the beginning of my bartending experience, you know, I was drinking every day. Like, I was drinking every day, so I was always kind of having party as I was working. But as I started to prioritize more training, and I had these periods of abstinence from alcohol and drugs, and or perhaps just being disciplined 5 days per week in which I was clean and then party only the weekend, it wasn't fulfilling at all to work in bars and doing cocktails and nighttime. It really didn't feel right, and I really wanted to live this life. So I started to prioritize my journey towards becoming a coach. I started to work part-time as a bartender. I didn't care if I didn't have enough money anymore, and that was a big step in life, guys. Not caring about having enough money, because I was stealing money to go party in the beginning. So there was a big change in mindset. And so I got my certification, and I started to work like part-time in the gym and in the bar. But as soon as I got my first client in the gym, and I noticed that I could earn the same amount of money in only 2 hours with a client as the money I would earn in a whole bartending shift, I was like, okay, my focus here is in the wrong place. You know, so I quit my bartending job because it was just taking away time from something that could be making my life better in many different areas. Another another environment as well. Like, of course, like, because when I was a bartender, again, guys, it should be clear that I have right now, I have an addictive personality, and so, you know, working around alcohol, it's not the best place where to be. It definitely does not help you staying sober. And so even though I was more disciplined, you know, there's still more opportunity to drink and party if you work in the party scene, if you every day in it. And so yeah, like, this was another reason I wanted to become a personal trainer, to be in a cleaner environment, and that works. That worked a lot. So now I became a personal trainer, and I was vegan. At the time, I was vegan. I was vegan for the environment. I became vegan. I would say I became plant-based for the environment during my trip in Southeast Asia. The reason why I became plant-based there is because I guess you just see the impact of humans more there. Like, I don't know, maybe I was more attentive because I was in a long holiday of 2 months traveling. But, you know, there I saw a lot of animals being in cages, in bad conditions. I saw deforestation because of agriculture, like, you know, full mountain sides taken away for agriculture, very polluted rivers, and plastic everywhere. So there was not the enforcement that we have here in Europe, where those things happen anyway. They're just more under control and definitely hidden to the public. But there is a mess. So I got intoxicated. I got food intoxication while I was there. And since I had this seed implanted in me that something is wrong with humanity and how we are treating the planet, I started to research. And I saw multiple documentaries. One of those documentaries was Cowspiracy, and that stuck with me. And I was like, "Whoa! I don't want to be part of this." You know, like, if a big part of why we are destroying the planet is because we are eating animal products, it's cool to me. I don't, even though I like the taste of animal products, I don't want to be part of a mass destruction of the environment. And so this is how I became plant-based. For some reason, I decided to be pescatarian, and then I didn't want to be pescatarian just because I saw a boat with the engine on, and there was the dark smoke from the exhaust of the boat that was going inside of the ocean and polluting the ocean. And you know, that image of polluting the ocean made me think, no. The efficiency in seafood is also not good. So I was plant-based for the environment, even though, like, my way of eating was fully plant-based, like 100% plant-based. I would have fish only once per year because I felt like was the only thing I was really attached to when it comes to taste. But, you know, I was motivated enough and convinced that I didn't really want to be part of environmental destruction. And so, you know, it was something important to do to me. And I kind of advocated for it as well in real life, but I was not as motivated, I guess. But I didn't want to I didn't want to talk about nutrition when I was a personal trainer and I was plant-based, because I still thought it was not good to consume animal products because they were bad for the environment. And so, I wasn't really, fully relaxed on helping people with their fitness goals. And let's stay a little bit on the vegan thing. So after working as a personal trainer at the gym, 2020 or 2021, COVID hit, all the gym closed. I lost all my clients. I was losing money. I was supposed to pay the gym rent, and I didn't. There was $1,000 more. I think it was in total 2,000 pounds I owe to that gym, and so I lost all my clients, and I decided to try and create my business and coaching business online. And something that I realized that at some point, because I wasted a lot of time trying to understand how to do it, how to create content and market effectively. So I at some point, 6 months after, I think, I realized that it wasn't working. Like, randomly posting on Instagram wasn't getting me any real results. And so I started to look how to do it better. I had my first business coach, and through my business coach, it was saying that through your content, you need to be authentic and really, and you cannot only talk about fitness. You need to be more. You need to really be relatable and connect with people. So I was like, okay, so like veganism is also an important thing for me. So I can talk about that too. Let's see what what the vegan community is doing online. Another important part of my vegan story is Nina. Where is she now? Nina is there. Nina, all right, my dog. Because I kind of always had dogs, but obviously when I started to travel, working as a bartender, it was impossible to have a dog. But as I became an online personal trainer and work from home, I realized that it was possible. I had more time to look after the dog, and she would never be alone. So I adopted her from a shelter, and so I started looking at what the vegan community was doing, and I got in, and I found Joy Carbstrong, I found Earthling Ed, and what I noticed is that they weren't talking about the environment. They were talking about animals. And for me, even though I had dogs, as I said, I was very a speciesist. I was a speciesist because, when I was a kid, all my neighbors, they had family farms. So I would see chickens in cages. I see chickens being killed. I saw some dogs that would be just let outside and maybe just closed in a confined space. So this was I had this view of animals that they have a purpose, and that purpose is based on humans. So we have 20 seconds remaining because I have a limit, guys. So the last thing I'm going to say is that I became vegan for the animals because I realized that animals are individual, and I was looking at my dog Nina, and animal slaughterhouse footage, and I realized how wrong it would be to have her in the same situation, and that's why I went vegan for the animals.